Yo guys, what is going on? Nickname is just Yellow, and today this Norwegian hardcore PC gamer is gonna redo this video because I did some editing crap. Mistakenly, it went down the trash, but that aside, you know, we are gonna make this video. It's gonna be about wallbanging in CSGO, how it works, how you can use it, what you need to make sure of, and a couple of nifty small things that you can do on cache if you want to be able to screw with the enemy, especially if they're camping difficult or annoying spots here on cache. So keep in mind that essentially wallbanging, unless you're doing it in a very specific manner or time and place, it's not going to be super efficient. But if you know what you're doing, you might have a couple of weapons that in the game have the higher penetration values. You can still be able to do some serious damage if you just do, you know, some guesswork and you shoot around and you have a decent, fun, jolly old time. So example number one towards how penetration works is to just take a quick look at how essentially the mechanic will interact with materials in the game. So when you shoot one bullet, it will do everything that you can see right here. So apparently I shot through plastic initially. I've actually not seen that before. And you can see the damage applied is 63. Thickness is shown off in centimeters, and lost damage is also shown right there at 36.4. And it also shows the exit material. While glass through anything really, but the opposite is still bugged, in which means essentially that if I shoot right there, the damage applied will be so much, but it will exit with a tremendous amount of force, in which the opposite direction will actually be absolutely horrendous. That entire bug being a thing, which by the way make this entire lane right here interesting for wallbanging in the opposite direction, which pro teams are sadly not utilized on CT, but then again, they don't have that much bullets. Anyways, that being an entire feature, knowing how all these materials work out and what they will do in terms of values, that can actually allow you to do some seriously awesome things on different maps by time and place that will allow you to easily wreck enemies. So with that, let's start off with a lovely spray that will probably be the most useful thing if you ever find enemies that want to play with a terrible, terrible cover essentially. So number one is going to be metal doors. Even if the thickness is like visibly big, it's actually not in the game. It's almost like, you know, a fucking hollow cardboard thing, which is pretty weird. But that aside, you can actually shoot through materials like these pretty well, and even at a kind of crappy angle, it will still do and deal a lot of damage, which is kind of cool. That makes it so that you can still penetrate through doors, even if the angle is pretty weird and funky. And essentially, it doesn't really do anything in terms of lowering your damage. You should never really think of a door as good cover ever. Same goes obviously for wood and thus plastic, I guess. I'm not sure about the last one, but wood, as you can see here, the damage is still pretty high, depending on angle. Naturally, obviously, you know, the further bullet have to travel, the worse it is. But yeah, damage will still be pretty high. And also with the tagging ability in this game, in which means essentially that if you take damage in CSGO, or CS, or Go especially, the more damage you take, the more tagged you get up until a certain highest threshold. The more tagged you get, the slower you can move. What this also means is that if you then actually want to fight for, you know, the A main right here, for example, and you want to play with this cover, you're essentially screwed if the enemy spam at the right place. What you want to do right here is to spam towards the edge of the cover and to the left, because, you know, if he's then gonna bob and weave, you will tag him, and he can't actually retreat because you're dealing so much damage, and tagging him is essentially screwed. So you should just learn how to spray if you don't know that, and try and hit the center of his body in that scenario, which is a little bit more common. Now, other things that can screw with you, and this actually happened in not a final but a very crucial round between a couple of pro teams, was that they hit some insanely small metal targets that practically render their bullets worthless. I'm not sure if it happened right here, but it was like a pretty similar kind of scenario. So be very careful about exactly, you know, by what time and place you will hit these certain metal materials and or the edges, because they can screw you over even if it does not look like it. But, you know, that's just the game you're playing. So then, now, let's go through a couple of wallbanging things that I figured out on this map right here. So if you're as a T or CT, if you're on this side of the map, you can actually wallbang through a couple of nifty places in which enemies will camp at. One here will be the forklift. In the past, you could actually wallbang through here. I've shot a bullet. You could wallbang through this entire lane right here. I guess it was like a technical bug. But as you can see, like, you can still apply some damage if you stand approximately right here in the past and shoot at that little crack right there. Like, the damage won't be nearly as much, but if you have a weapon that will have a high penetration value, which is the case with the Desert Eagle, a little bit with the tech, but especially also with rifles, more so with the AWP and the auto snipers, also the Scout, I guess. Also because, by the way, they have a high max damage. This allows the bullet to travel further through materials as well, by the way. That being the case, if you have the deagle here and you really want to try and fluster the enemy, you know, screw with his head if he's camping forklift right here, or if he's camping all the way up here on the railing on cat, or whatever people like to call this. Everybody have different calls. Shooting through this material in this kind of specific area right here, it's actually not a bad idea if you have a Desert Eagle, because you will, you know, essentially hit the guy. But then again, you need to figure out if by his habit he will actually camp right there and play right there. So it's not a bad idea at all. And even more so right here, if you're just, you know, spamming through a couple of bullets. If you hit him, you know, by one or two bullets, he's probably gonna get, you know, staggered and annoyed. And the same thing actually goes down with this boost placed right up here, in which I made a video in the past in which I show you how to get on top of here by your own hand. So I guess I can just do it so people know that it's a thing. If you jump all the way up here, the door is opened in this kind of way right here. You crouch land right here. You can actually jump and close the door right here, as I was able to do in the first try there. Now you're on top of the boost spot, which is actually a decently advantageous spot if you ever want to camp right here. So, you know, let's say that you're camping right here. You can get shot from the legs right here from this position, obviously, if that ever happens to you. But you can also get wallbanged, believe it or not. And with that being a thing, all the enemies need to do, as long as they can get past this point, obviously, is to just get on top of this spot right here and wallbang a little bit. You know, shoot a couple of bullets. You're not technically, though, by the way, checking these positions, but you are making it annoying for people to be there, and you're fucking with their head, which is actually, believe it or not, a decent thing to do in Counter-Strike, because the mental game is a serious part of a player and how consistent or ready for anything he will be at. So, with that being said, hopefully this made things a little bit more obvious for you people that enjoy playing Counter-Strike on a higher level. And yeah, this position right here is still insanely bugged. I mean, look at that, 20... 18, 18, it's pretty much craziness. But anyways, keep mind of the cover that the enemy have, keep mind of the cover you have, and you will probably be better off regardless of your skill level in CSGO. So anyways, thanks for watching. If you want to support the channel, we got the Patreon stuff. Anyways, any support is greatly appreciated. Have a nice day, and don't get beastified when you play, people.